I'll be honest, I've been pretty positive about Senator Tim Scott's run for president, not because I think he's going to win. It's a long shot, okay? But he's got a great message, and he's a great messenger for it, and I think that there is a lane for him. He's a good old traditional Southern conservative politician. And oh, by the way, if you didn't know, he happens to be African American, and that adds to the resonance of his message. Because when he first announced his candidacy, the women of The View, crazy, left-wing, shrill liberals, each and every one of them, they discounted him and they said that he doesn't represent blacks in America. He's the exception, not the rule. And Tim Scott, God bless him, he has taken that criticism, that attack, and he has turned it into part of his stump speech. In fact, he says, I'm told that I'm the exception, not the rule. But no, actually, I am the rule here, not the exception. You can achieve in this country. We've come a long, long way. And it's a great message. Even better, he decided to take that message to those very shrill women on The View and confronted them. And this exchange with Sonny Hostin, who finds racial grievance in a bowl of broccoli, was really quite memorable. And I want to watch it with you, and we'll comment as we go along. Before we even begin, though, I want you to take note of the tone. I want you to take tone of the approach. I want you to take note of the kindness that Senator Scott has. Make no mistake, Senator Scott is not stupid. He knows that these women don't like him. He knows that they want to destroy him. He's not trying to make friends with them. He's not trying to change their mind. He's not even trying to win an argument. He's trying to display to the thousands of people watching that there is another perspective on these issues, and they can be delivered in a very reasonable, thoughtful, intelligent, and compassionate way. When you go on shows like this, it's not about winning the argument with the idiot sitting across the table from you. It's about convincing all the people who are watching. And in that respect, the way you make your argument sometimes is even more important than the argument itself. All right, let's watch a little bit together, shall we?
You have indicated that you don't believe in systemic racism. What is your definition of systemic racism?
Let me answer the question that you've answered.
Or does it even exist in your mind?
Let me answer the question this way. One of the things I think about, and one of the reasons why I'm on the show, is because of the comments that were made, frankly, on this show, that the only way for a young African-American kid to be successful in this country is to be the exception and not the rule. That is a dangerous, offensive, disgusting message to send to our young people today, that the only way to succeed is by being the exception. I will tell you that if my life is the exception, I can't imagine.
But it is.
But it's not, actually. It's
been 114 years.
Yeah, so the fact of the matter is we've had an African-American president, African-American vice president. We've had 2 African-Americans to be secretaries of the state. In my home city, the police chief is an African-American who's now running for mayor. The head of the highway patrol for South Carolina is an African-American.
Still exceptions.
In 1975, there was about 15% employment in the African-American community. For the first time in the history of the country, it's under 5%.
40% homelessness.
And 50% of the folks in our community.
So let's pause here for a moment, because you can tell, first of all, Sonny Hostin's a really different person when the actual individual, the human being who she's been berating and mocking and making fun of and insulting, is actually sitting right at the table with her. That is, she's got quite a different tone, doesn't she? But you can tell from the body language, the sitting back like that and the smug smile, that she doesn't have a lot of respect for this man. And she just wants to win an argument. That's why she keeps interrupting. That's why she keeps throwing all of these stats at him, but he's able to handle them immediately. And understand who Tim Scott is trying to communicate to. The mothers who are watching this show who have children, maybe black or Latino or other mothers who feel like their children are going to have a tough time in this world. He's communicating to them not the Sonny Hostin message, which is you don't have a chance because the system is stacked against you. He's actually saying, no, actually, we've really improved the system. We've improved it so much that someone like me can succeed. And it's pretty rich, considering Whoopi Goldberg and Sonny Hostin are both sitting at that table too, because that's what they represent. But they choose not to. They've made a deliberate choice to actually have the opposite message, that only the elite few can somehow scrape their way to the top and make it, but no one else can. I want to delve into that in just a moment, but let's continue with Senator Scott here.
Of the
You had the
population.
chance to ask the question. I know that I've watched you on the show that you like people to be deferential and respectful, so I'm going to do the
That
same
is
thing.
true.
So here's what I'm going to suggest. I'm going to suggest the fact of the matter is that progress in America is palpable. It can be measured in generations. I look back at the fact that my grandfather, born in 1921 in Salem, South Carolina, when he was on a sidewalk, a white person was coming, he had to step off and not make eye contact. That man believed then, with some doubt now, in the goodness of America, because he believed that having faith in God, faith in himself, and faith in what the future could hold for his kids would unleash opportunities in ways that you cannot imagine. Every kid today can look, just change the stations and see how much progress has been made in this country. ABC, NBC, CBS, ESPN, CNN, Fox News all have African American and Hispanic hosts. So what I'm suggesting is that the yesterday's exception is today's rule. And for us to
So
suggest...
America has met its promise.
No, of course, the concept of America is that we are going to become a more perfect union. That in fact, the challenges that we face 50 years ago and 60 years ago should not be the same challenges that we face today. And here's the way that you measure that.
All right.
Well, my mother...
Great moments here. And again, with a smile, with decency, chiding Sunny Hostin for interrupting him and not being courteous. You saw that that was very effective. And you saw the look on Whoopi Goldberg's face. This is the last thing that those ladies want to hear at that table, right? Because they spew the exact opposite on a daily basis. Did you also notice one other thing, what you didn't hear? Did you notice how quiet it was? Did you notice how the audience was hanging on every word? Now, frankly, I'm a little disconcerted that they weren't applauding more, but I think it's because, again, this is the first time they've heard this, and they're hearing it from a black man, telling them actually what the reality is in this country. He also quoted the Constitution, which always gets points from me when you're a politician, and it's an important line. A more perfect union. Our founders never pretended that they were making perfection. Only the kingdom of God is perfection. No, America is never perfect. But every day we strive to make it more perfect. And when you look at the civil rights struggles of the 60s and so many of the achievements that have been made since then, yeah, we're a heck of a lot more perfect than we were then. Yesterday's exception, today's rule. What a message. Watch how it ends.
Was born, about 10% of African Americans got a high school degree, diploma. Today it's over 90%. When you look at the income, success that we've had.
That's an HBCU stat.
Well, listen, HBCU stat is a good one, because one of the reasons why I took the funding for HBCUs to the highest level in the history of the country, and then I helped make it permanent, is because I believe that education is the closest thing to magic in America.
It's fantastic
so I'm about
stuff. And so here's Sunny Hostin. Sunny Hostin. That's an HBCU, historically black college stat. And he said, yeah, thank you. It's a good stat. And by the way, as a senator, I've actually done something to help historically black colleges. Instead of you just sitting here and looking down your nose and poo-pooing all of it, I actually fully funded HBCUs and I made it permanent. He left out that he did that along with President Trump, who's now his rival for the nomination. So what does this tell you? Well, it tells you a lot about Senator Scott, that he's willing to walk into the lion's den, that he was prepared, that he was intelligent, he was calm, he was kind. And again, he didn't try to defeat these. He's not going to win an argument on their turf. No, but he presented himself in such a way that he's going to win a lot of people who are watching. And that's the whole point of this when you're a politician. But there's also another takeaway, and it's about Sunny Hostin. It's about Whoopi Goldberg. It's about other African-American men and women who are to the left of center, who want to continue to tell the rest of this country that we have systemic racism. You see, this is the message that they're sending. They have clawed their way to the top. They have achieved. Despite all the odds, they've figured out a way to get up there, even with systemic racism. They somehow achieved it, and they made it, and now they're standing at the top of the mountain, and they sneer down at the rest of the black community. They sneer down at everyone else. And what do they say? I'm the exception. There's another way of saying I'm the exception. You're saying I'm exceptional. I'm something special. I was able to do it, but the rest of you, you don't stand a chance. Wow. It's a heck of a message, and it tells you a lot about who they are as well. There's more to come on O'Connor Tonight.